Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Applied AI Conference Logistics. My name is Clemens Wasner from the nonprofit AI Austria, and
I'm Matthias Grabner from Advantage Austria, the internationalization agency of the Austrian Federal Economic Chamber. Good morning and good afternoon.
For those of you that are joining in AAIC for the first time, what is this conference all about? We started 3 years ago in 2018 with the goal to promote actual use cases for artificial intelligence and not just high-level presentations that only talk about the effects. So back then, AI Austria and the Austrian Economic Chamber joined forces, and the first few iterations of the conference took place offline in Vienna. It's around 800 people. And thanks to COVID-19, last year we switched to an online format. So during that time, we also, the viewer numbers exploded. We are now consistently above 2,000 people. And as a result, we decided it would be, instead of growing the event even further and further, to make small satellite events for specialized topics. So the last one was in September of last year, which was about forestry and timber. And today is the second special satellite event about the logistics industry. Yeah, and as you might have noticed, it's not so small anymore at all. We are close to 1,700 registrations, and we have a program staffed full days, 2 full days with speakers and panels. So in terms of housekeeping, Matthias will now give you a brief rundown where you can find everything and how you can interact with other conference participants.
Right, so 1,700 of you registered. Some of you are watching on B2Match, some of you are watching on LinkedIn, but we are all in the same video stream. And what is important about our conference today is that you actually can meet all the speakers and all the other participants in one-on-one meetings, if you so wish to do so. And to do this, you have to register at our website B2Match that we continuously posted on LinkedIn and in the mailings which you received. And how this works, I would quickly like to run through with you. And to do this, I share my B2Match screen. This looks about like this. I'm here on the main side of our event. If you're watching from LinkedIn, just check out the links that we posted. It's ai-logistics.b2match.io. I'm already logged in with my profile, and what I can do here is check which other participants are here. And I click here and on participants and see basically a list of people and companies that are joining in. And now I want to look for somebody I would like to talk to in a virtual meeting, and I can do this on the platform without sharing personal details. I just quickly like to show you, I search for Clemens. We have 2 Clemens, and I just pick my partner in crime and see his personal profile and have here the possibility to request a meeting. Now, when I do this, I have the possibility to suggest a time slot, and I am actually available for meetings tomorrow on Thursday, the 25th of February. And the time zones that you see here is always the time where you are located at. So for me, that's Vienna. Don't worry if you meet somebody from the US or from China, the time zones will match up. You don't have to think about that. So I suggest a meeting at 5:30. That's when we should be about done with the conference. Send a little message, and here we go. So the meeting is requested. What Clemens is now able to do is either accept my meeting request or decline it or suggest another time to meet. Oh, that's about it. Of course, you can also have a look at our speakers. Many of them are also available for meetings. And if you are not joining the B2B meetings yet, please do so in the agenda. You can just navigate here and select the B2B session that you want to join and just click Add or Remove to indicate your availability. Well, we'll be informing you as we go about how this works. I hope many of you join. And well, Clemens, back to you. What's up next?
Yeah. Yeah, one second comment regarding the other platform we're using today for streaming, which is LinkedIn. You might have noticed that we pre-scheduled 4 streams. So this is each for the morning and afternoon session of day 1 and day 2. The reason for this is that LinkedIn has a streaming limit of 4 hours. So after each session, we will post a link to the next one, both in the event and in the event chat. So don't worry. We will not lose you, and you will not lose us. Maybe one last comment regarding from the organizational side. After each session, we play an up next video. We use this time to onboard the speakers in the back end of the streaming software, so that to make sure that we can start at, let's say, 10:10 sharp with our next speaker. So yeah, without further ado, I hope you enjoy the next 2 days, and yeah, wish you all the best.
Maybe one more thing, Clemens. Of course, this is live, so that means you can interact with us. And to do so, we provide a solution called slido.com. If you're watching on B2Match, you should see it on the right side. We have a poll running right now where we ask you, from where are you actually joining? And we give you some possibilities, the office or the home office. And as the situation continues on, most of you are still in the home office. If you're interested to join Slido, just navigate to slido.com and enter the event code AAIC log 21. We will be sharing that in the short video that we will be displaying right now. And yeah, there you can ask questions to the speakers, join in polls, and keep on interacting with us. Of course, you can also do that in the LinkedIn chat. Well, without further ado, a short intro video for our upcoming next speaker, and we talk to you in about 3 minutes. Thank you.
You were born
And now live with us, joining us from Milan, Italy, we are connected to Michele Camuri, Enterprise Lead Western Europe at Microsoft. Hello, good morning, Michele.
Good morning, Matthias. Can you hear me?
Hear you loud and clearly. How is it? How is it going? I see you are also still in the home office, like 85% of our listeners and viewers.
It is. It's going okay. And yeah, of course, I'm in my home office, unfortunately, but it's been like this for the last 12 months. So I'm going to get used to it, like everybody else.
And it's been quite an interesting 12 months in the last year, to say it positively. But one takeaway that we have, and we can regard as kind of positive, is that digitalization has made a quantum leap. Sorry for that expression, but like it made a big leap. And your CEO also said something very interesting about that and about your future plans and applications of digitalization in certain industries. And we are very happy to hear your take on how Microsoft applies AI in the logistics industry. And okay. I see you already share your slides.
Yes.
Okay, Clemens, we give over the stage to Michele and talk to you again in a few minutes. And
thank you.
Don't forget, all participants, you can ask questions in the Slido field here on the right, and we will answer them in the end of his presentation in the Q&A session. Enjoy. Michele, the floor is yours.
Cool. Thank you, Matthias. Thank you, Clemens. So yes, you can see my screen. Excellent. So good morning, everyone. And again, thank you for having me. I think it's a big pleasure to open up this event. I'll quickly introduce myself. I'm Michele Camuri. I'm actually based in Italy, in Milano, and I'm currently the responsible for the retail and CPG industries at Microsoft Western Europe. And again, I'm quite excited to be here at this conference today. And I thought about bringing actually 3 stories in our discussion today. The first one that I want to land is the approach that we at Microsoft have to help our customers' businesses to become more resilient. The second one is how we at Microsoft changed our own supply chain. And the third one, the third story is around a few examples of how we helped our customers transition into the supply chain data-driven era. So these are the 3 major stories that I'd like to land today. And I would like to start by pointing out at the picture that you see on the screen. You'll see it's a plant that is growing in the desert. And when I saw this picture, this is sparking a mix of kind of surprise and an idea of resiliency. And as Matthias was saying before, we saw a lot of these in the last 12 months. Actually, it was exactly 1 year ago when I joined my last area meeting. It was in Zurich. And I would have never thought while driving back home that it would have been the last business trip for quite a long time, I would say. But it's been a year that has changed the business worldwide. We saw some businesses and industries that have been almost obliterated by the pandemic. In other cases, the face of business has been completely changed by pushing innovation fast forward of a couple of years in just a matter of months. Actually, our CEO, as Satya Nadella said a few months ago, that we at Microsoft saw 2 years of digital transformation fast forward in just 4 months. And of course, COVID is the worst thing that could ever happened in the world, and we're all very sorry about the humongous death toll that is taking and about the misery that is laying on all businesses. Though if we want to take something positive out of this period, we're seeing that businesses and industries, pretty much everybody, are pivoting right now on a concept, the concept of aligning their purpose with their business performances to actually offset and mitigate the effect of COVID. And this in conjunction with embracing innovation at scale to actually cope with the complex and the difficult situation. So I'm transitioning to the first slide. I'll put on pause because there's a video here, and I want to share a video. I want to share a video that is highlighting one thing. It's actually a story of our own Microsoft AI-driven supply chain platform. It's looking quite futuristic, but this is just to prove that the future is already here and is already actually a reality. So what you see in the video, it's quite short. It's a couple of minutes video. You'll see that we actually embraced a totally data-driven approach that is injected into a platform that is connecting data from third-party logistic, fourth-party logistic operators in order to anticipate and predict whatever can happen for every single batch, for every single parcel that is shipped on a worldwide level. So, Matthias, if we can roll the video, please.
Consistency and visibility. What do we need to operate efficiently is actually predictability within the supply chain.
Combining predictive analytics, machine learning capabilities, and advanced artificial intelligence, Navisphere Vision gives you a vision of the future, delivering real-time information on weather, traffic, and global events, anticipating events before they happen, prescribing actions to avert disaster, and adapting your supply chain automatically, whether your inventory is at rest or in motion. We started with What If, and then collaborated with our customers to bring you Navisphere Vision, giving you unparalleled insight into your supply chain. Now you can see more global events as they happen.
Because of the volatile nature of the world's events and weather and everything else that is out there, we wanted to make sure that we could have the ability to touch and notify the customer of the freight as we saw it transpiring.
You can know more about when to make adjustments,
utilizing some of our historical data so as to be able to better address any sort of challenges that we might see in the future.
You can do more to ensure efficient delivery to your customers.
Cyber attack on some of the largest, carriers and transportation providers in the globe, being able to diagnose and understand that event was occurring within minutes. Ultimately being able to get into Navisphere Vision, filter out the actual active shipments with those providers, getting that visualization in terms of exactly where those shipments are, what products do they contain.
Navisphere Vision lets you see all transportation modes in all regions of the world.
The visualization draws that connection between data and actually the things that are happening real time within the supply chain, and being able to visualize that is just tremendously powerful.
You get your entire supply chain fully visualized in one global platform.
Senior management doesn't have the comprehension of the sheer volume of movement of freight that is happening at any given point in time. It's helped both with the tactical execution as well as the strategic comprehension.
Navisphere Vision is the next generation in supply chain visibility technology, powering some of the world's best supply chain operations. It lets you see more of your supply chain, know more about the events that impact it, and do more to ensure supply chain excellence and the delivery of your freight, no matter what.
I can't understand why someone would not choose this product.
Thank you. So now you saw in this video a lot of artificial intelligence, data-driven approach in action. So now I want to make a step back and I want to share with you what is actually the North Star of Microsoft, our vision. And our vision is actually to help our customers to become intelligent-driven companies. But how we want to achieve this vision? By leveraging data combined with artificial intelligence capabilities that have been surfaced through business applications. And all of these leveraging agile development framework to foster growth, to foster innovation, to have a faster time to market and to create cost efficiencies. And actually these would actually allow us and our customers to achieve 3 major objectives. First one, to bring data and AI capabilities at the core of everything. And it is here that we want to create what we call the digital brain of the business. Second, fueling the business model of our customers and rewiring their operating model to become fully digital. And this will help achieve a scale with no marginal costs, a different level of scope in terms of the variety of products and services that the business can bring to the market, and achieve a continuous learning that is unprecedented based on all the data that the company is able to put together. The third part is actually connecting the dots to pull together business processes that traditionally stand apart one from another. And this is also growing the realm of possibilities, of use cases, of scenarios that can be unlocked. And actually, the foundation of everything, as I said, is all around that digital brain, the data and the AI. And for us at Microsoft, it is imperative to have a principled approach around the data and AI, an approach that allows Microsoft to democratize the access to data and AI to everybody. And as for everything we do, we follow a very principled approach, and we have 3 major pillars. The first one, we're innovating responsibly through a very serious people-centered design approach that we take in developing every solution, every platform, every AI engine that is built and embedded into our own products and platforms that millions of people use every day. Second, we help actually organizations to cultivate a responsible AI-ready culture through other businesses by implementing their own principle and their own policies, by the implementation all the way to the governance with best practices, with tools, with technologies, built with multidisciplinary research team that we put on the ground. And the third pillar is actually we're advocating to drive positive impact broadly in the world with policymakers, with industry players, and with institutions. Actually, we are proactively advocating for the protection of fundamental rights, partnering to advance a responsible AI through the contribution of what we call industry working groups. And to make an example, one of the most relevant industry working groups in the area of AI is the Partnership on AI working group that we co-founded, and it is a working group that is made of 80 different organizations, from Amnesty International to Google to Amazon. And the common objective, the common charter, is actually to provide an open and an inclusive platform for discussion on the developments of best practices around artificial intelligence. Now, this leads me to the next chapter of this story. The next chapter of the story that is all around what we call purpose-driven digital. So, as organizations, as businesses, as industries are adapting to the new world of COVID-19, their sense of purpose is taking on new meanings, and they're actually leveraging technology and innovation for good. The last 12 months, the last year, highlighted many examples of this trend, which we call purpose-driven digital. That is basically the art and the science of leveraging technology and innovation to align business performance of the company to societal outcomes. And it looks trivial, but if we look at all the annual reports of the majority of the business worldwide of the last 12 months, this is a common topic. This is a fil rouge that we recognize in all industries, in all companies. But now, how can we actually translate such a beautiful dream, such a vision, into something concrete? So we strongly believe in what we call the tech intensity that you see in the middle of this chart. And we describe tech intensity as a framework, as a blueprint for companies to jumpstart their growth. It has 3 major components. The first one every organization will need to adapt in a very fast way, best in class in cloud-native technologies to become more agile. The second pillar is every company will need to build their own capabilities on those platforms. And the third one is trust. Companies need, especially in this moment, especially today, to invest in their human capital, to have and to create a workplace, a culture that encourages capability building, teamwork, and collaboration in a very secure way, because this, at the end of the day, is what is fostering the innovation. Companies that tend to follow this approach will thrive. And this is not just Microsoft saying, but if you look, for instance, at a paper that has been delivered by McKinsey, it's called the Developer Velocity Index. That paper is highlighting how tech-savvy companies are outperforming their peers 5 times on a set of KPIs. So this is our recipe to success, and this is what we think allows us to connect the impacts on the business, touching from productivity to customer engagement, through supply chain and operations, all the way to the possibility to create new business models, new digital products, with what can be done for a better society. Now, this chart is quite important to Microsoft, because when it comes to the execution of this vision, one of the framework, one of the very important point that we stress is called digital feedback loop. That is exactly what you see on the chart. What is it? This is a framework that we use to help our customers to actually build and connect business processes one with another, so that whenever a set of business processes is implemented, is monitored, is measured, it is continuously improved over time by collecting data from all the business processes connected one with another, so that it can be improved over time. It is this type of digital feedback loops that are at the heart of becoming intelligent-driven organization, and it is what we think, what we see that is fueling digital transformations. Companies that started already to put in place these digital feedback loops, these kind of frameworks, are the ones that today are becoming more customer-centric, are the ones that are fostering growth, and are the ones that are putting in place more agile and resilient supply chain on a worldwide basis. So, as I said before, the first video that I showed you was talking about Microsoft, about our story, about how we turned our supply chain from being a static one into being a data-driven. But this has not been a simple and an easy task. Of course, it's been a process. It's been a huge transformation. And yes, Microsoft is also a manufacturing company, so we have our own supply chain. We are actually shipping in 122 countries worldwide, taking care also of the reverse logistics to cover the after sales and the returns. So today, we think that the quality of the service is even more important than the quality of the products. And all of this has pushed Microsoft to re-envision our own supply chain. So how we transformed it? We followed a 3-step approach. So first approach, we actually brought in automation at scale to increase end-to-end visibility on a worldwide level. The second step has been to actually bring to life predictive capabilities built on top of the humongous quantity of data that we had and we collected on a global basis. And our AI engines, our AI capabilities actually augmented our team's capabilities. We didn't replace them. The AI actually augmented the capabilities of the human operators to move from a reactive way of running the business to a proactive one. And the third one is actually adopting and leveraging AI at scale to automate a lot of micro decision that needs to be taken in a continuous way every day, with a final objective to free up the time of the human operator and give them the possibility to focus on more important things, on more important stuff. Now, if we take a step backward, step higher, and we abstract for a second, where are we today from a global context perspective? So even before the pandemic, we saw that there were resiliency and sustainability challenges that every supply chain had to face worldwide, no matter about what industry, what businesses we were talking about. And typical supply chain are still now dealing with issues like lack of visibility due to disconnected processes, due to data that are scattered around among many different platforms, many different systems. The challenges that we saw fostering during the pandemic will continue actually. If companies will not improve their efficiencies, if companies will not focus on their business and data integration capabilities in order to cope with the current challenges and with the unexpected, the unforeseen. Let me give you an example. As climate change is getting worse with the carbon emissions, today's supply chains and manufacturing operations will see the weather, the climate, as a disruptor of their operations. And the future impacts, hopefully, will not be as bad, as broad, as global as it happened during the pandemic, but it will still impact the overall supply chain in a continuous way, from the sourcing of the raw material all the way to the production operation, to the logistics, and to the distribution of the goods. So today, every organization is pretty much focused on fixing the supply chain, but the goal has been more to manage the efficiencies rather than to predict the next crisis, the unexpected. But as organizations are growing, as they are getting more specialized, more diversified, we see an increasing complexity of managing these global supply chains. And the continuous changes in the global ecosystem will keep creating disruption. And this will put more pressure on the supply chains, even more than we see today. So creating a data-driven approach and a circular supply chain where actually a digital platform is at the core. What I said before, the digital brain, and thinking about manufacturing and supply chain throughout the life cycle of a product, these actually help remove inefficiencies, help improve brand and customer loyalty. It helps reduce waste, reduce energy costs, and this in turn is saving the companies, the businesses, money and time. And all of this while creating a positive impact on the environment. So when you think about the circular supply chain, about the sustainability, because the two things goes hand in hand, there are many ways in which businesses today can start do things like recycling old products, remanufacturing products from waste, or items that didn't actually pass the QA testing. And shipping a product to a customer does not end the manufacturer responsibility or actually the useful life of a product. Today, I would say that the life of the products actually start right there. So the circularity approach, this framework allows to gain visibility across the business processes, across the suppliers, and throughout the whole supply chain. And I'd say that a resilient supply chain is boosting actually sustainability by optimizing energy efficiencies, by improving processes, by reducing the packaging and the waste impact, while reusing materials in creating new products and in all the processes. And actually, this framework, this idea, this approach is creating kind of unthinkable opportunities. And just to lend an example, think about what Land O'Lake achieved in the US very recently. Land O'Lake is actually one of the leading, most important dairy companies worldwide. And by introducing innovation in agriculture, precision farming, while enhancing their supply chain, they were able to reduce their environmental impact. And by doing this, they created a unique platform in order to help farmers along their value chain to identify new opportunities to further reduce their impact on the environment. And all of this is generating a positive feedback loop. And this is actually giving Land O'Lake the access to carbon credits. Bottom line is that Land O'Lake started to connect to the carbon trading markets by selling certified credits to buyers. So this is a kind of a groundbreaking innovation and something unthinkable until a few years ago. So now let me share a few real life stories. I like to go from words to facts. And I thought of bringing actually three major stories. The first one is around Maersk, the second one with McDonald's, and the third one with FedEx. So first one, Maersk. I'll give you the punchline here, and then we'll roll the video. Maersk actually was facing a growing inability to successfully compete in the market due to, as said before, information and data scattered and siloed across many different systems, many different platforms. This was leading to limited visibility across the supply chain, forcing a reactive approach, not a proactive one. Therefore, Maersk decided to partner with us to transform their way of doing business and to enter the era of the data-driven, of the intelligent-driven company. And this actually allowed them to create digital feedback loop that granted visibility across the whole value chain, across all processes. So if we can roll the video, please.
Every day around the world, people and organizations rely on sending and receiving goods. It is fundamental to everyday life.
Maersk is an integrated transport and logistics company. And our objective is to facilitate global trade in a simpler and faster way.
If you think about today's supply chain, you always have a physical goods movement. In parallel, you move data going with the goods. During transport, a lot of things are happening. There could be a disruption. This is a complexity of supply chain.
And what we are trying to do with Microsoft is to eliminate bottlenecks across the entire supply chain so that we can accelerate trade. We think of digital transformation in three different categories. One is digitizing customer interactions. We have to use data to create this customer feedback loop to monitor our customers' behavior and understand the type of products and services they need from us and continuously evolve our product. The second piece is digitizing our assets. Cranes, containers, vessels. How do we use the data to understand productivity and increase utilization? And finally, we are digitizing documents. How do we remove this physical paper flow from the supply chain and enable things to move much faster? I think the magic is really, if we digitize these parts of the business, then we can create a collaborative port environment where all the players that are interacting within that port can automatically exchange information and make decisions, making the whole port ecosystem much more efficient. And once you make the port ecosystem more efficient, it has a huge impact to the rest of the supply chain.
What is even more powerful is mapping and matching all the different data sets that we have and generate new values. For example, disruption forecasting, demand forecasting, supply chain simulator. It's really a digital transformation of the business model.
Really rich history of more than 100 years, and they are using that legacy with digital to really build our future.
Great, thank you. So as declared by Maersk in the video, one of their key objectives that they're trying to achieve was to get visibility, end-to-end visibility across their supply chain. And where we helped them also was to get rid of their paper-based processes that were really heavy. So this led to a greater and unprecedented automation and efficiencies, dramatically reducing errors, saving time, saving money, but also innovating the traditional way of running their supply chain, because we actually gave a framework to all Maersk employees to actually, as you can see from the chart that I'm showing, create their own applications so that they could actually automate and re-envision and reimagine their own business processes. Now, the next case is with McDonald's South America. And again, I'll give you the punchline. McDonald's South America is running their businesses over 4 different countries. They have hundreds and hundreds of suppliers. So granting visibility, business continuity, agility, and resiliency to cope with disruptions, as it happened during the pandemic, was the key challenge. So by transforming their business and by turning that into a data-driven business, McDonald's actually succeeded in achieving results that were surprisingly good and kind of unexpected due to the COVID moment. So they were able to actually increase their service level, reduce their inventory level, optimizing the logistics, and dramatically reducing their expedite shipments. So let's roll the video.
When a customer orders a Big Mac, it's super important that we have all the right ingredients of the Big Mac. We can't really tell them, oh, we're out of lettuce or we're out of pickles. That's unacceptable. Supply chain for us is super important, especially being able to have visualization over the whole process.
In supply chain, you can't erase the complexity, but you can embrace the complexity with the right tools. Be ready for anything has been our mantra.
What we need is better planning and better forecast.
The answer is in the name of the product, Service Optimizer 99 Plus. They were able to reduce inventory by 7%, increase service levels over 90% and still on the rise. And then the intertransfer between different nodes in the supply chain, that's been reduced by 83% at this point.
So it becomes something that makes us a lot more agile and a lot more prepared.
The opportunity to deploy our solution in Microsoft Azure really takes away any boundaries, any limits. And so the partnership with Microsoft gives us another very powerful way to present and make the solution available.
Great. So now the last one is with FedEx. So we partnered with FedEx to help them achieve a big vision, a big goal that was reimaging and revision the concept of commerce. So the partnership sees actually FedEx combine its global digital capabilities, logistics networks with our intelligent cloud, intelligent edge, and artificial capabilities at scale. As a result, FedEx has been able to actually have access to a very, very granular level of data and updates on every shipment tracking, bolstering the high time sensitive deliveries and eventually tapping into new opportunities, into new market avenues. So for instance, the delivery of medical freight will be even more secure since visibility and tracking is enhanced. And this will attract additional business for FedEx because just think about a manufacturing plant that needs in a hurry a replacement. They can, through the experience with FedEx, they can actually, in a very quick way, get access to that replacement and get visibility all the way through the tracking and of the shipment. So I hope that I gave you a good overview on what Microsoft can do in a holistic way, and more specifically on injecting data and AI in a responsible way in the broader supply chain context. And with this, I thank you for your time. Thank you for listening in. And Matthias, I would give the floor back to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michele, for the use case examples and for the exciting presentation. We just quickly removed the presentation so that we are visible. And Clemens, we actually received a couple of questions that we want to have a look at right now. And dear everyone, you can still ask questions and upvote questions of others that you see here on the right. Or on slido.com with the code AAIClog21. So why don't we go through the questions that are most popular? And let's start with this one. Michele, Samuel asks, how do you see logistics and SCM AI use cases versus manufacturing, where most companies mostly aim for small gains in quality control and maintenance? So how do you see that difference in logistics and supply chain?
So I think here the approach that we have at Microsoft is actually the following one. So to us, as I said before, AI is really a kind of an open concept where what we try to do with our customers, regardless if we're talking about a use case on the shop floor, or if we're talking about a use case on the logistics or in the extended supply chain area, is to actually pick up use cases and go right away into a POC, so that we can show to the customers what is the concrete benefit that they can actually gain. Consider that again, regardless of the domain, Microsoft has an approach that is anchored on being an open ecosystem. So the thing is that we have our foundational platform, and we have a huge industry ecosystem that can tap on top of our platform in order to address use cases on each and every process domain.
So thank you very much. This is answered, and people are continuously voting on questions. And Stephanie Locke asks, we're doing a lot of deployable solutions into Asia for SCM and manufacturers. One thing we are struggling with is finding in smaller orgs the tech people we can upskill and work with. How are other organizations tackling the skill gap that may be in these organizations to support digital transformation? What's your experience working with these organizations?
It's a good question. Microsoft, again, with the concept and the approach of open ecosystem, is giving access to a lot of training and skilling paths that are also free. People can actually find a lot of available documentation, certification, and training on all of our websites. For organizations that we work with, we have several programs like the Enterprise Skilling Initiative, whose aim is actually to help those organizations to upskill their employees. So I would actually suggest to reach out to the relevant account team and ask further insights on the Enterprise Skill Initiative.
So reaching out and asking somebody who knows the organization very well. And the next question is actually somebody asks, what is the name of your product or tool? I don't know. Can we?
No, but it's a fair question as well. I mean,
I think that came with the McDonald's presentation, that question.
Yes. So
let me just let us know if that's correct.
Yeah, I'll make a quick step back. I mean, Microsoft, of course, we have our Azure platform with all our infrastructure, platform, innovation capabilities on top of it. And this is the foundational platform, on top of which we have the whole Power Platform to tackle business process automation, business process reengineering, our business application, CRM and ERP in the cloud, our Microsoft 365. And the peculiar thing is that on top of this, we have the biggest and the most holistic industry ecosystem with more than 67,000 partners that are very specialized, very focused on specific business processes and specific domain. In particular, I think the video of McDonald's, it's related to our partner Tools Group that has a platform built into Azure. So straight answer is Tools Group that is built on Azure.
Tools built on Azure. Great. Gabriel, get in touch if that answers your question. And we head over to the next. Clemens?
Yeah, I mean, with regard to the time, I think we can take 2 more questions.
Yes.
There's one question coming from Nicola Scoro. It's saying, do you have also examples of more complex project-based industries like construction, and how do you cope with such environments? Maybe one comment from my side. perhaps if you provide us a link or something, we could also disseminate this through banners or through the conference chat, so that people can
Sure.
do that later on that.
Exactly.
Straight answer to this question is yes, of course, because we're working with all the industries that we have on a global level. I'm gonna provide you with a link, with two links. One with where you can find all the success stories, all the use cases that are publicly available, and the second one is what we call the industry blogs, where we have all relevant information on our industry approach.
Okay, perfect. We will post this in the conference channel later on.
And we will share the material that you provide us with all participants in that case, if anybody asks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now an interesting question. Although it's the Applied AI conference, this is now a question for the Applied Blockchain conference.
Oh no.
How do you think about the application of blockchain in supply management? Is it really required to distribute the validation process via a digital ledger, or is it more efficient to use one central database, for example, like Azure?
I mean, consider that, it depends really on the use cases and on the requirements. I mean, to us, blockchain is just one of the many technologies, of the many capabilities that we can actually activate, we can actually enable to address validation processes across the supply chain. So it really depends on the use cases. And by the way, on Azure, it's not a database. Azure, it's really an end-to-end innovation platforms. We can also, in that case, have many different type of databases, SQL, NoSQL, distributed databases. So we can build whatever kind of validation process built on many different technologies. So it's really an open platform. So this would be my feedback.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and for the last two questions, I would rather combine them because they're quite similar. If you think of the high-profile partnerships that you have, for example, in automotive, I think this was with your CEO Germany tour 2 years ago, where you signed up Volkswagen, BMW, and so on, and Daimler. And retail, let's think of the Walmart cooperation. Do you have something similar in place for the logistics industry? And if yes, who do you see the lead customer here? Is it the large shipping companies or providers like DHL, Maersk, and so on? Or is it the logistics/SCM department of large conglomerates?
So we do have strategic partnerships in place. It's not only about Azure offerings, we call them business transformation partnership because we tackle really the end-to-end value chain of the customers, and also in the supply chain area, we do have, and in the logistics area, we do have partnerships in place, like the one I shared about Maersk. That was not just a use case, that is a comprehensive business transformation partnership we have with them. And the same thing, more recent, with FedEx. With FedEx, we just announced, I can share the link, a few months ago, a strategic partnership to have them, as I said before, re-envision the concept of commerce. So yes, we do have we do have in place partnership also in these domains.
Okay. Excellent.
Well, that for now concludes our question and answer session. And thank you, Michele, so much for taking the time. We will be sharing the slides that you provide us and the videos that you've shown us. And actually, just for your information, a lot of Microsoft staff from across Europe and the world is actually joining the B2B meetings as well. Maybe Michele as well. So if you are interested in getting in touch, please contact them. And thank you very much to Milan. Best wishes from Vienna.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Cheers.
Bye-bye, Michele. Bye. All right, and we are right back after a short break with our next speaker, which we will introduce, who we will introduce right now with a short video. See you in a second. Well, and we're back
for the second session of the day. So welcome with us, Mr. Oskar Preinfalk from Spar ICS. Hello, Oskar.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Oskar.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you loud and clearly. And once again, to all our participants on P2Match, on YouTube and on LinkedIn, you may ask questions anytime, which we will answer in the Q&A session. And to do this, you head over to slido.com and enter with the event code AAIC log 21. There you can ask questions and upvote questions from other participants to get in touch. All right, Clemens.
Perfect. Yeah, for our next speaker, we have Mr. Preinfalk, who has been a data science veteran at Spar ICS. I mean, for those of you who are coming from or watching from outside of Europe, Spar is like one of the largest retail groups in Europe, with chains as far as Japan. And Spar ICS is the IT department, which has been always at the forefront of deploying AI solutions. I remember among the first AI conferences I attended, I think 4 years ago already, Spar was already presenting use cases. For today, Oskar picked up a very specific topic, especially to retail. It's about perishable goods and how to keep value chains fresh for fresh goods. So without further ado, I hand over the word to you, Oskar.
The stage is yours.
Thank you, Clemens. Welcome, everybody, to this conference and to my talk. My name is Oskar Preinfalk. I'm working in data science, and I'm working there as kind of an analytics translator. And today I want to talk about optimizing procurement of fast-moving articles within AI. Give me maybe 2 minutes about to introduce my company a bit. Spar in Austria was founded in 1954, and since then it developed really to a big Central European retail group. Our main business is, of course, food retail, but we also have a special label called Hervis with sports articles, and we are also building whole shopping centers with our company SES. When it comes to IT, we have our own IT company, our independent IT company, which is called Spar ICS, which is an abbreviation for Information and Communication Services. This IT company is really big and very innovative. And as you can see on the key figures, we have 569 employees here in Europe, and alone in Austria we have 413. So we are always hiring, and if you want to have more details about our IT company, please visit our homepage, spar-ics.com. Good. Maybe some words about how we established our internal advanced analytics team, because I think this is very important and maybe interesting for other companies as well. Because about 3.5 years ago, not out of the business, but out of the innovative mind of our leader, Andreas Kraner-Bittels, we formed a small group of people inside the business intelligence team, because we knew that we have to deal with data science. And in my opinion, it was a very important step, because you have to develop your data science skills inside your own company, because your own employees know your business at the best. And this is a very, very high and very important skill you need for that. In the next years, a little bit faster, in the next years, we founded an own analytics team, because we know this is very important. So we put the focus more on analytics. And we moved from the on-premise, learning on the job POC mode into more of a professional mode, dealing with bigger projects. And of course, in this area, we also moved into the cloud environment, because we realized that when it comes out, or when we are ready with proof of concept, you need a bigger environment. You have to have all the scalability and all these resources to deal with really big problems. And one of the major projects we are into it are now the forecasting of promotion forecasts and sales forecasts of fruits and vegetables. And this year, we made even a bigger step now in our organization, and we founded an own department bringing the BI and the advanced analytics together again. We call it data and analytics. Maybe here a small slide. We are here combining all these data teams into one organization, and we are changing our way of work in a data ops team. It's not DevOps, it's data ops. And now we are able to develop real data products in an agile framework. And what you need to do that, you need a cloud architecture, in my opinion, because when you're a retailer like we are, we have so many data, big data. You can do that with affordable costs on premises. We choose here Microsoft Azure and Databricks Spark for machine learning. I don't want to go into details of the architecture, but this is really a good setup now for us to deal with all our data science use cases. So let's jump into the main use case I want to talk to you today. It's about predictions. It's about optimizing the procurement of fast-moving articles. And when it's about predictions, sales amount predictions, we know that machine learning is very powerful in that, and it also makes fun, of course. But can it really deliver? Is it useful for that? And I want to answer these questions in the next slides. First of all, talking about these fast-moving articles. This was a little bit too fast. Okay. Now the animation gets a little bit weird. Okay. Good. When you see on the left side, I wanted to show what's so special about fruits and vegetables. You know that they have a short durability. They need to have a taste. They need to have time to ripe. They are sometimes very regional. Then they are changing because, for example, cucumber here in Austria is available only during the special month, and then it has to shift to maybe other countries like Spain. Special products have a lot of wrong transport route, so you have to deal with that. You have a high seasonality like strawberries or asparagus or something like that. For this, you have changing producers because you're changing the region, you're changing the producers, and then you have some articles who are very weather sensitive. And at the end, it's a natural product. It's not always the same. No tomato is every day reacting the same way. There are so many outside influences which can change the product. So how did we face this challenge? We implemented a centralized fruit and vegetable supplier with a known warehouse. And we implemented as well a weekly demand forecast and a daily rolling demand forecast, which I go into further detail in the next slides, to help this central fruit supplier to get the right amount of procure amounts. And at the end, what we want is that the articles are always moving. They shouldn't be staying too long in special stock places. Yeah. So we also have to change, of course, some delivery rhythms and other logistic optimizations. But when it comes to the real optimization, the most important thing is that you know early enough how much is needed, that you have the products at the right time, at the right place. And when you do that, you have happy customers at the end, hopefully, which have maybe a tomato which is perfect in taste and ripe. Good. So let's talk about these models we have implemented. We have two types of models. The one is the weekly forecast model. This forecast is generating on Tuesday the whole sales forecast for the next week. This acts like a kind of aviso for our main supplier that he's able to activate the producers, that they can deliver really the right amount for the next week. And then there is a second model, which is called daily rolling forecast model, which is producing daily forecasts for the next 5 or 6 days. This model is more precise. It also considers actual stock and so on. Yeah. And all these two models are calculated on a day, article, and outlet level. This is very important because outlets are in many different ways available. They are smaller, bigger, on different locations. The one have tomatoes, the others have more bananas, etc. Yeah, you can imagine that. So we have the forecast on an outlet level. We aggregate then this forecast on a distribution center level and send this information to our main supplier. And what is really important to understand is that such a model is not only a machine learning model. It's always a combination of machine learning and some kind of post-processing logics. The part of the machine learning, to give some figures for maybe the techies and data scientists here in the talk, it consists of a decision tree model. And we use here Spark and the H2O framework with a gradient boosting estimator. With this setting, we are able to make a parallel model training of, in our case, of 400 trees to have really a good model. We are using sales, promotion, and weather data mainly for our model. And on the figures, you see that we need really much compute and power to do that. We have 175 million rows of training data. We need 830 gigabyte of cluster memory, 210 cores, and the model is training for 6 hours to deliver the model. And afterwards, there are logics and rules which have to be implemented by this PPL. We have, for example, promotion pre-orders. We have a minimum stock. We have delivery windows. We have an actual stock, which must be considered in the daily rolling forecast, and many other rules that makes then the perfect estimation optimization. And at the end, when you want to have a model in a product environment which works good and smooth, you need some kind of pipeline. In our case, we built a CI/CD pipeline, which means a continuous integration and a continuous delivery pipeline. This means that we are able to implement and to deploy each machine learning model 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without any downtime. And for that, we use, for example, also Kubernetes services with container technology to serve this model for our ERP system. This is really awesome because it makes working very flexible and very fast. So we can really deploy a model, and the next minute it's available for our customers. For that, we also use the environment of Microsoft Azure and Databricks. So all these services are available in the cloud, and this makes it very, very easy and convenient. So now I want to show you some results. I'm sure you want to see that as well. And on this slide, for example, I have the sales amount and the forecast of the last 4 weeks above all fruit and vegetable articles. On this graph, you see the green line. This is the sales line, the sales amount line. Then the dashed gray line is a plus minus 10% deviation of the sales amount. And the purple line or red line is this forecast amount. And you can see that we are quite very good in this plus minus 10% corridor. And in my opinion, this is really, really good result. Yeah. But you have to consider that this is the amount of all articles. And you can imagine that for business, this is not the only measurement for them or the only thing they need, because some articles are others than the others. They have higher volume or they have low volume. And so they are not, they need, of course, they need with every article a good result. I have two other articles here that they can show the problem a little bit more. Here I have a banana. This is also from the last 4 weeks, and it had a promotion in the second week. And we see that we hit the promotion really, really good. So this is almost perfect. And the thing is that bananas are constantly available and consumers buy them every time. So the buying behavior of bananas is really constant. Also the buying behavior when it comes to promotions. So for the machine learning model, it was rather easy to learn that. Give you another example, which is not so easy to learn. This is a special kind of onion. Yeah, this is an article which has a high seasonality. It's not a standard onion, it's a special one which is only available several months in the year. And the thing is that it shifted the seasonality between 2019 and 2020 of 3 weeks. So this means that the season began or ended, shifted with 3 weeks. So this is really not so easy. And in addition, it has very low sales volume compared to the bananas. So this makes it much more harder for the model. And we see that we have still so many optimization in the model with dealing with the special products and so on. So maybe you get now already a glimpse of how difficult it is to have this different products in a model. And now I want to share which challenges we had building this. Yeah. And the first one was the business expectancy, the definition of done. When is the model a good model? When can the model be used? This is maybe one of the most difficult things in the beginning of a project, because when dealing with so many different articles, when is a forecast good enough? When can you say that model is good enough? You cannot say that you need maybe 10% deviation below 10% or something like this, because not every article is working the same way. So you have outliers. Yeah, you have some assortment groups who are more predictable than others. Yeah, and you have a big number of error matrices you can use for a data scientist to develop the model, yeah, but who are not really explainable for a business user, yeah. So it needs so many communication, clarifying, and communication with the business to find a good way to measure the model. And at least this is also a thing that data science is still just a magic black box, and it always will be, which has a big hype on media. So everyone is expecting the highest thing from data science. It can deliver that, but it has also, of course, some implication when it comes to outliers or something like this. So you have to understand that. Yeah. So this was really interesting, and for that you need people who know your business, who need your company, and yeah, who has some experience for that. The next thing was the product variety. As I mentioned earlier, we have so many different articles which are very similar. When you take tomatoes, for example, you go into the supermarket and you have maybe 6 or 7 different tomatoes in front of you, and they almost look very, very similar for you. But these are different articles, so they need a forecast for each different tomato. And when you're a customer, you go into it, then you maybe take this time the one tomato and the next time the other was, because they are so similar. And this makes the buying, the prediction of this buying behavior very, very hard. And what also comes out is that these products have a very high cannibalization effect on each other, because there are so many different things. When you only have 3 bananas, the one is maybe organic, the one is more cheaper. So it's not that a problem than with tomatoes. And then is the thing with substitution of articles. When you have delivery problems, or when the product is not as good as you think, then one article is replaced by another one, and this changes the system. So this is also hard for machine learning algorithm to deal with. The next thing is the outlet variety. We have so many different types of outlets. They are in size, in volume, in location, and they have a different set of assortments. This means that one of the outlets have mandatory assortment, which means they have to sell this tomato, and others have an optional assortment because they are maybe smaller and there are not so much tomatoes available. So they are only sold in a mandatory behavior in big outlets, and in small outlets, it's an optional assortment. So this is also not so easy for the machine learning model. And at last, there are so many changes in the environment we are facing with. You can imagine the buying behavior is constantly changing in the last month and the last year because of the pandemic. The people are starting to cooking more. They want to eat healthier. They want to have more regional products. Then the product quality is changing, and the availability is not always the same. So this is also influencing the model. The market changes. You have competitors. You have to deal with expansion of your own market. And at least we have a trade-off between accuracy and genericity, which means that at the one hand, you learn from a long-time behavior because you want to learn the behavior of how does an article react when it comes to promotion, when it comes to a certain week of the year that you sold more of this product. But on the other hand, you want to react on very new occurrences of the immediate past. And so it's always a trade-off between these two. Yeah, so at the end, when considering all this, are predictions really as powerful, and can they deliver? And I think when you take a look at all these graphs, you see that, yes, we can, because there are always trade-offs, but at the end, it's a very good solution to optimize the procurement of our fast-moving articles. Many thanks.
Thank you very much, Oskar, for the exciting presentation. We received a lot of questions. Also, many people from your field of industry are right now watching. And why don't we have a look at what came in? Okay, so here we have the most popular question, actually. Can you talk about what features have the biggest impact on the forecast besides historic sales? And please, a short answer, because we are short on time.
Yeah. Okay. The promotion info, of course, and also the weather data was quite high. But you have to imagine that historic sales means that you build out of historic sales approximately 50 different features. They are small sliding windows where you compare different time frames with each other. So different sales historic features were up front, and then the uplift between promotion and not in promotion, this was also very high in the feature importance.
Perfect, thank you. Then for the next question, I can keep this very short. How did you convince the CEO to use a cloud solution? Because many companies are afraid of putting their data in the cloud.
Yes. So our business is still needs to convince, but we have a process where when we put data into the cloud, we made a certain process and a competence center where it decides if the data can go into the cloud. It's a rather slow at the moment, but I think this is not so answered easily. You need to tell them constantly that your models can bring data, can bring business value, and you only can do that with this technology, because when you don't have this technology, it's not possible to do that. Yeah.
Okay, since we are tight on time, I would combine the next two questions from Richard and Anonymous because they're sort of the same. Question number one: how do you decide make or buy? Do you do it internally or together with a service provider or buy something? And the second question is, of the cases you have shown today, how did you decide that you will not buy a demand prediction model from, let's say, a software as a service startup, but rather do it in-house? Because there's so many demand prediction startups.
Because on the first hand, we want to make it for ourselves. Yeah, we want to be independent and we want to have the know-how in-house. So we decided to do it for ourselves, and it's the development of our team was not so straightforward. So we were forced to establish many POCs to show the business that data science can be of benefit for them. So we had to build the knowledge inside the company to place data science on a certain level in the business. Yeah. And you can't do that when you have an external company. You send them to the business, they don't know them, there's no trust in them maybe. And if the need is not there yet in the business, you must come out of the internal company to show them this is a benefit for them. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thanks a lot for the quick answers. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, so we cannot take the few remaining questions. But I think you also registered on the Beat2Match platform, so if people want to get in touch with you, be our guest to contact Oskar.
Thank you very much.
I'm happy for that.
Have a good day and enjoy the meetings.
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you for having me. Ciao.
Thank you very much. Ciao, ciao. We have now a short intro video for our next speaker and move right on, and we'll be with you in 2 minutes. Okay, and we are back. And with us now, the CEO of one of the largest Austrian logistic companies, Cargo Partner, actually joining us live today from Hamburg. Hello, Mario Cavallucci.
Moin, moin, like we say in Hamburg. Nice to be here today.
Good having you. It's very good having you. You followed the previous presentations I saw, and just to remind our speakers, we have a lot of people watching on LinkedIn and on YouTube. This is live. You can ask questions. We will give over the floor to Mario Cavallucci in a few seconds and use the opportunity to get in touch. He will start his presentation and we will be with you in another few minutes. Clemens.
Yep.
Mario, the floor is yours. And here we have your slides. Enjoy.
Thank you very much. Again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody from Hamburg, beautiful Hamburg in Germany. Representing very proudly the company Cargo Partner, one of the leading Austrian freight forwarders, representing the Austrian supply chain market here. I think what I want to do here is listening to the previous speakers is I want to give you a little bit a different angle on AI as such, but also the bigger topic of digitalization and the connection to the forwarding market, because very often supply chain management and forwarding are similar or are thrown in the same basket, but at the end of the day, it's, I think, two different industries. So how does digitalization, AI impact a forwarder, a family-run business, and how can we compete in a new digital world? I think 2020 with COVID and the accelerated digitalization all showed us that we need to move and that we need to be fast if we want to be at the top of the game. So with all that, I move forward to my first slide. So here we go. I give you a quick introduction about our company. Give you a holistic view on the logistics market, that you understand the complexity of the market, guide you a little bit through the new kids on the block and how they are trying to attack and disrupt our industry. And then I explain you why there has no disruption been so far and what this means for a family-owned business, and how we will utilize this in order not just to compete, but to grow our business and to improve the customer experience. So who is Cargo Partner? Cargo Partner is, like we said, a family-owned Austrian company founded in 1983 with a headquarters close to the Vienna airport. We are very strong, focused on air and ocean freight with offices and representations in over 40 countries. Last year, we exceeded for the first time in company history the €1 billion turnover mark, where we were able to achieve a year-over-year growth of almost 37%. So this shows you also a little bit how in a very strange market environment like last year, we were able to utilize our agility and how we were able to utilize the opportunities in an ever-changing market. But also as a company, we have a tradition in investing into technology, and like my previous the previous speaker from Spar Group showed you that they invest in their own IT company. We as Cargo Partner do the same. We have our own IT company with over 200 people, and we are strongly supporting our business with own digital development. About me a little bit, I'm with Cargo Partner since 2019, and since the beginning of last year, since the beginning of 2020, I'm responsible for our global operations and product development in combination with the task to drive the digital transformation of the company and bring us into a new era and into a new position to compete in this very tough market. I'm in forwarding for my whole business life. This is really my passion. Forwarding is one of the most amazing industries in my or from my point of view, because it gives you every day, every time exposure to new markets, to new trends, to new industries. And from my point of view, it never gets boring. Talking about the global logistics market, and to give you an idea about the size, the sheer size of the market, and the complexity this brings, or this comes along with the size of the market, only third party, and we are really talking here only about outsourced logistics services to third party providers globally in 2018, was $930 billion. So that's quite a significant amount. If you look at it, the largest market meanwhile, and that just changed in the recent years, the largest market meanwhile is Asia Pacific, followed by North America and Europe, where in Europe the largest market, shouldn't say that as a German, but the largest market, of course, is Germany with about 80 to 90 billion euros. So the complexity here is really you have a huge revenue potential. You have a diverse market where you need to cover the geography of the world, and you have a very strong growing business in Asia Pacific. However, if you look at it, and we will see it on the next slide, the biggest player here still come from the Western Hemisphere, or from the established old industrial countries. And if you look at 930 million in revenue potential, of course, this is a very attractive market for venture capital. And one example I can give you here is when I talked in the early days to the founders of Forto, why they went into the logistics industry. For them, it was quite clear. It was the attractiveness of the market because of the huge revenue potential this market has for them. So you see the potential of the market, but when we go into the details and the size of companies like DHL that we all know, and I mean, we all would think, oh, DHL, yeah, they're ruling the market, they are owning the market. At the end of the day, DHL has a global market share of less than 3%. And in total, the top 20 do control or do manage less than 25% of the overall market. So the diversified market, the split and the challenge to achieve scale, and we see this if you look at DSV, who was only 5 years ago, they were not even in the top 20, and they are achieving scale through their mergers and acquisition strategy. This is all about scale, this is all about volume, and this is all about market dominance that so far nobody has achieved in this industry. If you look at the names, if you look at their origins, like I said before, those are all Western countries and a little bit of Japanese dominance that we see here. But there are developments in the market where you see strongly Asian players pushing into the market. The latest development here, just last week, the week before, the announcement that Kerry Logistics here ranked as number 20 was taken over by SF Holding, one of the biggest e-commerce players in China. So there's a strong development there in Asia Pacific. But at the same time, there's a very strong push recently by the carriers, especially by the ocean carriers. In that case here, we see Damco and Maersk listed here. The brand name Damco is history since the 1st of January, where Maersk has integrated the activities directly into their business under the Maersk brand. So is Siva Logistics, who is since 2 years under the ownership of CGM, so the ocean carrier again, pushing into the third-party logistics business. For them, it's to leverage their revenue streams and to become less dependent on their very asset-heavy shipping industry. So there's another push, another competition that we see that we need to fight, and it's not just the new kids on the block, which I will show you now. So I try to give you a very brief snapshot on a couple of new kids that are on the block that we probably all know, that we all heard. Just to give you the example of Sender, who is the first logistics unicorn that we have in Europe. Since 4 or 5 weeks, it's officially valued at 1.1 billion euros, only focusing on being the digital platform for FTL, so only for full truckload. They don't even bother to spend a lot of energy in offering a diverse portfolio of services. They focus really on one thing and one thing only, and they want to do that well. And the examples of Flexport and Forto, they go a little bit the other route. They try to be a full service provider, but they also try to be a software provider. They also try to offer software solutions here. Only in 2020, and consider the market environment in 2020 was not the best one. Only in 2020, investments by private equity companies that went into the logistics sector globally were 8.1 billion euros alone. So there's a lot of money going into this industry. And then again, if we look at the potential of this marketplace with 900 billion in revenues, I think it's quite clear why they invest all this money here. So, but why are those companies not disrupting this market? And we have a lot of people in our industry who like then to use the phrases of, Uber is the first company that don't own one car, but they disrupted the taxi industry. Airbnb is disrupting the hotel industry without having one single hotel or bed. So why are those new kids on the block not disrupting our industry so far? And I think that's very important that we understand there is a need for change. There is a need for more digitization and digitalization in our industry. And it's not that I say they will not be successful, as we need to be very careful. But so far, they are not successful for various reasons. And I think that the biggest is really the market is so diversified. The market is so globally spread. If you really want to play in the complete supply chain solution industry, that you need a global coverage. And so far, most of them haven't achieved this coverage. And another point from my point of view is that they still lack this personal relation. And we always talk about forwarding is a people's business. This is still true. It's changing. We need to digitize. We need to offer digital solutions to our customers. But pricing and the market situation is so competitive that if the customer has 3 offers at the same price, he will always choose the one where he either has the best solution or he has the personal relationship where he trusts the people. So the personal relationship is certainly one of the biggest reasons why those companies haven't achieved the big disruption yet, why they are not showing up in the top 30 of the rankings. Very important message here is the industry has understood that we need to transform our business. They have understood that we need to invest in digitalization. So there is a need, and if you just look at the sheer amount of 1.4 trillion euros that will be invested into the logistics industry by 2025, there's the potential, and there's the reason why we need AI and why AI will help us to transform our business. So the race is on. Only financially solid companies will be able to invest and survive. So it's also kind of an ongoing consolidation of the forwarding market. And if you don't wake up now, if okay, it's already too late. If you haven't woken up by now, is don't bother, keep sleeping. You had to wake up a couple of years ago to understand, okay, we need to do something, we need to change, otherwise the fundamental shift in how we do business will kill your business, will kill your profits, and will make you extinguish. So, the $930 billion question is, how can we as a company, how can we as cargo partners, family-run supply chain specialists benefit from this? And how can we get ahead of the game and utilize those opportunities that are in the market out there? This starts at the end of the day with the vision of the chairman, and our owner and founder, Stefan Grauter, is definitely one of the visionaries in our industry, and he was talking 10-15 years ago about the need for digitalization, and he started to invest into technology, and we started some things that we'll show you later on, where we were first movers in the industry, and sometimes I think the industry was not even ready for the things that he already saw coming. So we struggled to execute certain things, but this helps us now to pick up speed and to leverage opportunities. Our old business model will not last. We have understood that, and the cash cow kills the future is certainly one of the most crucial things that we need to understand. If we lean back, and we had a very successful year in 2020, and if we lean back and say, oh, everything is perfect, everything works, this is gonna be the most or the biggest mistake that we can do as a company. So it's all about efficiency and customer experience. It's about focusing on the value generation for our customers, on the information transparency that we can create for our customers and for our people as well. And that's why we implement currently a state-of-the-art standard transport management system. The tool is called CargoWise One from WiseTech Global. One of the most commonly used system, meanwhile, in our industry, which offers the absolute basics of everything that we do in our business, which will allow us then to utilize tools that are available and specially developed for CargoWise. So if we try to invent things that are already out there in the market that add no value to the customer, that add no value to the information or transparency that we want to give to our customer, then we would be focusing on the wrong thing. So we decided we let CargoWise or WiseTech Group do the job for us, and we focus on expanding our customer front-end communication and collaboration platform, which we call Spot, to offer best-in-class customer solutions, because we are better than others, and we take it personally, which are, by the way, our core values as a company. And the flow is very simple. First, we have to standardize. Then we can start to simplify. Then we can start to digitize, centralize, and in the last but not least step, automate and use also AI. And without the preparation, the outcome will not be the same. Very crucial here, so we will leave no one behind. We're a family-run business. Our employees are the core of our business. Our employee are the reason why we were successful in the past, and our employee will be the reason why we are successful in the future. So change management to keep our people up to speed with the developments and the tools that we're using is very crucial and very fundamental for our business. Give you a quick insight into what our Spot tool means. Spot is a collaboration and communication platform that we introduced, like I said before, more than 10 years ago, when the industry was not even talking about solutions like that. So we definitely were ahead of our time. We lost a little bit of momentum, but with the integration of CargoWise One, we definitely will be in a position to focus again on the value generation for our customers and to underline and strengthen the benefits that Spot is delivering to our customers. As we talk today about AI, I brought you here a little showcase how we utilize AI already in our Spot tool, where we automated update on container status, where we give proactive notifications and inform customers about delays. And that's the point. A couple of years, 15 years ago, it was all about, oh, you need track and trace, and you need to have this, otherwise you will not be competitive in the market anymore. The customer doesn't care if everything goes right. He doesn't want to see the information. The customer only wants to know when something goes wrong, when the expected ETA is changing, or when something happens to his container. This is when the customer wants to be informed. So we integrated that 2 years ago now into our Spot platform and are able to deliver this information to our customers. So now talking about a little bit more about AI and again, still digitalization in general, how can we benefit when we utilize AI, and what are the benefits for us as a company? So big issue in our industry is the lack of people, is the lack of experienced operators, because nobody wants to do the low-end jobs anymore. Nobody wants to be a data entry clerk and wants to do the repetitive work. So really utilizing AI, utilizing digitalization in general will help us to eliminate non-value adding tasks and will make the job in the logistics industry more attractive again. It will make our upstream business, this is the quotation part, and the when are the shipments coming, when will we be able to how will we be able to utilize our containers. Hopefully this will make our business more predictive, because so far we say it's not predictive. We have couple of customers where we have forecasts and where we know when shipments are coming, but the vast majority of our customer, and that's a reflection of the industry, are spot shipments, are shipments that are occurring regular, but they don't show up on our radar regular, because sometimes we get them, sometimes we don't get them. So becoming more predictive and probably even going to the customer and saying, hey, we noticed we had shipments from you for the last 4 weeks and last week we had none. Is there an issue? Can we do something? Is there one shipment next week? This will help us really to improve our upstream business and improve our utilization. Talking about utilization, talking about downstream. So once we have the shipment, once we have the order, it will increase our reliability, because we can improve our exception management, which is a big part of the customer experience. Again, what I said before, this is not about when a shipment is delivered on time. This is about the customer wants to know when something goes wrong and when there is a delay, when there is a threat that his production will stop, or when his sale will be delayed. It will also help us to improve the utilization factors and capacity planning. So it will be good for the environment, as it will improve our carbon footprint. And very important, and one of the most crucial things for me here today is, I think the technology is ready. I think that's not the problem here. I think where we need to be very careful and what we need all to understand is are the people ready? Is it really, and what I said in my initial statement, AI is not a threat. AI is an opportunity. But if we don't bring this message across, if we don't make sure we take everybody with us on this journey, AI is not going to be successful, because then the people will find ways and reasons why they can sabotage it and why it's not going to work. So done well, AI can lead to a win-win-win situation for the customer, for the company, but also for the environment. Sustainability, in my opinion, will be the biggest achievement that AI will do to this world. We can utilize trucks better. Just take Europe, where we have about 50% of trucking capacity driving empty across the continent, where it's just about predictability, where it's about more accurate data, so that we can fill up the trucks that are out there and that we can utilize them, and with that reduce the carbon footprint of our industry, and with that do our part to a sustainable and healthy environment. How does AI help a company like ours to grow the business and improve the customer experience? For us, digitalization and AI are the key to solve labor shortage and increase the competitiveness in a highly competitive market. We can reduce administrative work. We have more time to spend with the customer. We can utilize the AI to have less but a higher quality of communication with customers and our supplier. We will be able to reduce our production and procurement costs with more predictability and less effort. And at the end, the consolidation in the logistics sector will continue. DSV is looking for their next takeover target. So first movers will be the winners, and first movers will be the ones that survive in the highly competitive industry. Again, AI alone is not going to work. Mixing personal service with AI is going to be the winning formula here. To wrap it up, AI done well is boosting customer experience and will drive the business growth. But only, and that's really my key message here, only in combination with the personal service and the personal touch, the real value of AI is going to be generated. We need change management to adjust the company culture in our case, but also in general, we need to take the people with us. We can leave no one behind. We need to take the fear away from what AI will do to their jobs, so that AI can become an opportunity and is not a threat. That's it from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, that's okay.
We are back. Thank you very much, Mario, for this positive message, this positive end note, and also for sharing about how you implement these new technologies and new procedures into your company culture at Cargo Partner. We have a look at some of the questions we received during your presentation. And let me just quickly pull up the questions. Clemens, maybe if you want to have a look.
Yeah, question number one, or let's say the most upvoted question was, having so much cargo moved through air and ocean, what's the reason to disregard road? Road freight being the biggest distribution channel in the world.
Right, that came right at the beginning. So what do you say to this question?
That's really, it's an interesting question. Of course, we do not disregard road. It has a little bit to do with our history. I didn't mention that, but initially, Cargo Partner was a spin-off of the LKW Walter Group. So our history lies on the road freight side of the business. so that we were taking the air and ocean part of AKW Water and took it into a separate company. That's why we probably not ignored, but we didn't have the focus on road freight for the first 20 years of the business. In the last couple of years, we invested significantly, and as a matter of fact, one of my tasks for this year is really to focus on the development of overland, which is contract logistics and road freight. And in the combination is we only can become then a full supply chain provider to our customers when we offer the full suite, and that's not just air, ocean, road, contract logistics, that's also digital information flow that we need to offer to our customers.
Perfect. Thank you. Then the next question is going in the direction of how do you get the buy-in from your team members and to take the employees along the digitalization journey? Do you have specialized training programs, or how did you approach this?
Yeah, this is, of course, a very interesting question. And I was reading yesterday an interview with I have to remember his title next time, with the Transformation 4.0 officer of the Otto Group. So they actually even created the position to that, to drive the cultural change management into the company. Then it's Otto Group, so they have a little bit more scale than we do. We really do this from a communication point, transparency point of view. We inform people about our plans. We take them on the road with us. They are involved in early stages in developing solutions, in delivering value to the customer. And this is probably the best way to do it. They are very close to it. They are very familiar with the solutions we are developing. They are trained very early in the process how to use the tools, how to utilize the tools, and how to take the benefit of that to the customer.
Thank you. Yeah, the next question is actually from one of the speakers we have tomorrow. It's from Mr. Mustik from Daria, and he's asking, how do you acquire data directly from the shop floor inside the warehouse? So are you using camera systems, IoT sensors, QR codes, drones? It's going in that direction.
There we're I would say old school. It's still the most modern tool that we use is hand scanners. So there's, for us, and this has to do with the industries we're dealing with in contract logistics so far. For us, scanners are still doing it, and we're optimizing it. We now talk about multi-order picking. We talk about FIFO systems that we need to establish for certain companies and customers. But so far for us, and I think that's still valid for the majority of the providers out there. And again, I speak here for the small, medium-sized, family-run businesses out there. This is still more than enough. There are rarely customers that talk about, oh, you need drones to do pick and pack, you need Google glasses, you need to do pick by voice, stuff like that. That's all out there. It's all opportunities, but the vast majority of the customers also do not have the scale that they really require product solutions like that.
Thanks for the answer. Nevertheless, I recommend you to tune in tomorrow afternoon to see what's behind Maximilian's question. Mission accomplished.
And the next question on the list is actually from one of my colleagues, from Wolfgang, from our office in Stockholm, Sweden. What about the impact of the new Silk Road, like the One Belt, One Road project?
Actually, a very good question, because I now realize I didn't touch the rail topics. Of us, this is called a rail product then, because it's going overland via rail. I haven't touched that topic. It's a highly strongly developing product because it offers a lot of advantages, especially considering the market environment in Q3 last year. Rail was booming. You couldn't get any space for weeks. Just to find containers was impossible. Rail for us is becoming one of the strongest growing products. I think our growth last year was around 80 to 90% what we did in rail on a pretty decent level already. So it's not that we're coming from nothing, then 80% is a little bit a different story. But this is a huge opportunity, and especially when we talk about e-commerce out of Asia, rail is the future solution, and the Chinese government is still pushing it hard. It makes it a little bit more complicated to work with rail because it's very much regulated and state controlled. So it's not that simple to do that product. But then again, this limits the entries of competitors that go into that market, because you need to have certain knowledge, you need to have certain options there. But yes, the new Silk Road is definitely here to stay. We even had a push, especially in Q3, then for road freight transportation from China to Europe for certain products. This is very interesting because you gain another couple of days compared to rail. Personal opinion, from an environmental point of view, I mean, this is a disaster if you send a truck about 14,000 kilometers. That's nothing you want to see if you have some interest in the environment. But again, there's always a market for something, and if there's a shortage of computer chips in Europe and production of automobile manufacturer is stalled, then every option is needed and needs to be elaborated.
Interesting. Yeah, we will hear more about this topic probably tomorrow afternoon in a session with the company from Austria that's actually running trains along the new Silk Road from China to Europe. Yeah. And maybe also from other speakers. And we receive, we have a lot of participants from the industry and from every level, and we just received many feedback that they really appreciate your model, the focus, the people-centered model. That's a great message, just to convey that feedback to you.
Thank you.
Next question, a little bit longer one. Great presentation. AI in warehouse automation is always a matter of cost and value. How can the 3PL industry demonstrate that the value can offset the costs of a real AI implementation? Would you say it makes sense to establish demonstration warehouses to give the client a feeling of the value to touch?
That's a very interesting question, because this is not directly in terms of, I think Marco is talking here about investments, because it's what I said before. Most of our customers, they are happy with scanners and barcode technology. That's enough for them. But if we could give them a showcase to show, look, there are alternatives, and there's new technology that we could leverage for you. It's always this chicken and egg question. It's when do we invest, and how do we utilize or benefit from those investments? So yes, I would think it's a very interesting idea to say, okay, we set up kind of a demonstration warehouse to give you the impression what is possible and what we could do for you. And I think a lot of customers would be much more open to a new technology if they could feel it and touch it. And this is one of the issues we have in our industry, is usually customers try to keep it very close and are not so open to promotion of their solutions, because if we bring in another company from the same industry, they would lose a competitive edge. What we did, for example, in Cargo Partner, because we are investing heavily in infrastructure in Central Eastern Europe, in warehouses in the last couple of years, and with COVID, there was no travel possible. So what we utilized was really, we did virtual warehouse tours last year then. So on our webpage, you can find virtual warehouse tour of all the facilities that we offer. And at the same time, we also did individualized warehouse tours with selfie sticks, and where we just showed customers through the warehouse. We had a case where an Italian company was looking for a warehouse in Chicago, and they were not sure, is it the right warehouse or not? So we had the selfie stick. We were showing them, look, this is where your pallets would go, and this is our ramp, and these are our people. Again, talking about the people that would handle your business. And this was at the end the winning factor that we could close this business.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Intriguing.
Good. We have 3 more questions before the lunch break. First one is a short one. Did you build up your own AI team, or do you work with external service providers?
This is a mix. What I said before, we have our own IT company, and within the IT company, we actually even have our own little startup feature where we exactly want to foster things like this, where we have a company called Spotworks that does exactly this. They developed the container tracking solution that I presented in the Spot use case. They developed that themselves. But like I said before as well, is for us, it's such a diverse market full of opportunities. We will not be able to utilize everything ourselves. We need partners that support us and do part of the work. And then we are the ones promoting Spot as the platform. We are the central hub at the end of the day for the customer.
Thank you. Then the penultimate question: what are your key metrics to evaluate the business case behind an AI use case? So, is it like efficiency? Is it that you use less FTEs, delivery time, and so on?
This is where being a family-run business comes with a huge advantage. So I come from a background of more globally structured stock market listed companies where it's all about the shareholder value. Like I said before, we have a chairman who has a very clear vision, who has very clear ambitions, what he wants to achieve with this company. So for us, it's not always about the euro and the cent that will come out of it. For us, it's more about, okay, what's the big picture here? What can we do with this? What value is it generating for customers, and what value is it generating for our people? So there are no clear key metrics that we use. Of course, when we talk about operations, it's about, okay, what efficiency will it bring to us? How much can our productivity increase? But this is, for me, probably less than 50% of the decision factors why we do certain things.
Mm-hmm. And maybe a short answer, this could be actually from one of my colleagues. What kind of support do you expect or wish from public authorities in terms of digitalization, logistics, and transport?
It's a good question, but also a very valid one. And I think the Austrian government launched the digitalization funds last year when was that? Around September, in the middle of the COVID crisis, where they fund up to 1 billion in subsidies for digitalization projects. At the end, this shouldn't be the main reason why you do things, because it kills your business if you're not sustainable doing certain developments. But in this case, I'm 100% convinced this was an accelerator for a lot of companies, in our case as well. We said, okay, there's the opportunity to get some funding, to make some savings on the project we're anyway planning. So let's accelerate it. Let's do it now. Let's rush it. So I think for certain companies, this is a very attractive tool to accelerate things. And especially in the case of Austria, this was a very clever move to accelerate the digitalization within Austria and to keep jobs in Austria and to create developments.
Thank you for your feedback on that. Very interesting presentation. And this actually concludes our first session, our first set of 4 video streams in these 2 days. Thank you very much, Mario Cavallucci, and also in the B2B meetings, you will be available. Also, many of your colleagues registered, so I invite everybody to connect and share ideas and projects, corporations, probably. We will head to the lunch break for about 50 minutes, and we'll be back in the afternoon in the second stream. Please make sure you check your personal meeting schedule. Don't miss any meetings, arrange additional ones. And yeah, Clemens?
Yeah, I mean, in order to make sure that you don't get lost in the lunch break, we will now make the afternoon session stream the sticky post in the AAIC channel on LinkedIn, and I also just wrote it in the chat window.
And on B2Match, just make sure that you navigate to the right agenda point. As I said, we have to separate that into 4 different streams because of limitations.
Yeah. Welcome to 2021. Now, but anyway, thanks a lot for joining, and yeah, especially to you, Mario. And yeah, wish you a nice lunch break, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Mario.